As the Israelites near the Promised Land, their 40-year journey through the wilderness is finally drawing to a close. But just as they approach the finish line, tragedy strikes. In this week's Parsha Chukat, Miriam dies, and with her passing, the miraculous well that sustained the people in her merit, known as Miriam's well, dries up. Predictably, the people once again turn to Moshe with complaints about the lack of water. On one hand, their concern is understandable. Water is essential for survival, but their reaction feels extreme. After all, this is the same nation that witnessed the miracles of Egypt, survived in the desert through divine providence, received the Torah, and built the Mishkan. They experienced the improbable and even the impossible, and yet, now that their water source has vanished, they revert to the same refrain. Why did you bring us out into the desert to die? After everything they've seen and lived through, have they learned nothing? The Kli Yakar offers an interesting insight. It wasn't the entire nation that complained, but only a small group. Most of the people, he suggests, remained silent, trusting that God would once again provide for them. They had learned from past experiences and were giving Moshe the space to coordinate with God for a new source of water. If we take the Kli Yakar's insight a step further, it highlights the outsized influence of the rabble-rousers. Even when few in number, their loud voices can dominate the conversation and shape the public mood, drowning out the silent majority. Or perhaps something else is happening here. Even though the people's words sound familiar, maybe this time it's different. After 40 years in the wilderness, 40 years of living with God's presence among them, perhaps Israel had in fact grown. So what exactly were they expressing? Maybe it wasn't a complaint in the usual sense, but a deep disappointment. Here they are, finally on the cusp of entering the land, and suddenly, another setback. Will they ever make it? Perhaps that's why God instructs Moshe to speak to the rock this time rather than strike it as he did before. Not only because this is a new generation with different needs, but because the tone of the people's words is different. When they first left Egypt, their cries were harsh and accusatory, so God had Moshe respond in kind with a harsh action, striking the rock. But now, their words carry a different emotional weight. They're not rebelling, they're disheartened. And so Moshe is meant to respond differently, to speak gently to the rock, coaxing it to yield its water. This may be why God tells Moshe that he missed the opportunity to sanctify God's name before the people. Speaking to the rock would have demonstrated that God was attuned to their emotional state, that he listens not only to their words, but also to their hearts. But when Moshe struck the rock instead, that message was lost. The people still received water, but the deeper lesson that God hears and responds to the heartfelt emotion behind their words remained hidden. This is the essence of leadership, the ability to truly listen to the people, to understand not just what they are saying, but where they are emotionally and spiritually. It's not enough to simply water the flock, it's about knowing how to water them and discerning the best way to meet their needs in that moment. Shabbat Shalom.